has gone back to Hollywood. Because, of course, everything that has been going on currently with the WWE product has suffered, and it's all because of none other than Paul Pinocchio, Triple F, Triple Fraud, Triple K, Levesque. Because the reality is, we should have gotten The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40, okay? That is essentially where all of this is stemming from. But before we continue, guys, 80% of you guys are not subscribed, so please subscribe, turn on the bell notification, and if you haven't already, guys, let us hit 1,000 likes on this video, and let's move forward with the video. The reason why all of this goes all the way back to February 2024, when The Rock came back, he got on the mic and he said, "Should The Rock sit at the head of the table?" Right? And then he essentially issued a challenge to Roman Reigns. And let me paint you guys a picture here. WrestleMania 39 happened. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes was the main event. Cody Rhodes almost has Roman Reigns beat. Solo Sikoa enters the match. Samoan Spike on Cody Rhodes. Roman does a spear. 1, 2, 3, and Roman retains in a dirty finish. And right away, what happens? Instead of Triple H going out of his way and continuing on building the story between Roman and Cody, what happens? The immediate Raw after WrestleMania 39, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns segment happens. Guess what? Brock Lesnar comes out, and you think, oh my god, they're gonna have a tag match, it's gonna be cool, everything is smooth. Oh, damn, F5. Like, what the hell? What the hell is that? Right? What the hell is that about? And then what happens? Cody has essentially spun into a side quest, right? A quest that is essentially got nothing to do with Roman Reigns. And then Roman Reigns, whatever he does, he goes out of his way, yada, 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 absent. And then we have Cody and Brock going on a 4 to 5 month feud. They have 3 matches. Obviously it's going to end with Cody going over. But essentially, my question at that time was this. If Roman and Cody are not going in there and finishing the feud that they have, I am going to clock out. Because going into WrestleMania 39, I wasn't really tuning into wrestling that often. Like, I would tune into SummerSlam, I would tune into WrestleMania every single year. But in terms of following the product, I simply couldn't care one bit. And that was the year where I was actually excited, looking forward to it, because I wasn't a big fan of the whole Roman Reigns run, mainly because of the fact that a year and a half, maybe 2 years even, of that run was just in a lockdown, right? No crowds, LED screens, come on, I can't mess with that, No matter how good Roman was, I simply couldn't get into it. And so when those two essentially just parted ways for the entire year, and Cody and Brock had their feud, and that finally cultivated at SummerSlam, I was like, alright, now is the time to go in there and build up to the rematch, right? Maybe we can have it at the Royal Rumble, that could be possible. But instead what happens? Cody goes in there and he has a tag team run with Jey Uso. Are you kidding me, dude? And so, before we even get to the point where we can say, oh, okay, this is all The Rock's fault. The Rock's got a big ego. He's got a massive ego. How about we point at the fact that in 2023, in that year, or whenever it was, 2024, whatever, right? How about we point to the fact that he should have booked the finish to Cody versus Roman much sooner. And the reality is, that feud wouldn't have had that Avengers Endgame, WrestleMania 40 big success that it had if it wasn't for The Rock. Let's be honest here, guys, okay? Think about it. If The Rock was not involved one bit, what kind of a WrestleMania 40 main event were we going to get? Cody Rhodes already won the Royal Rumble leading into WrestleMania 39. He beat everybody. He got over on everybody. And then he loses it at that WrestleMania, where, in my opinion, he should have gone over. And then in the following, WrestleMania after that, after 39, he has a feud that's a filler. He has a tag run that's a filler. And then he goes straight into the Royal Rumble, the year that CM Punk returned, mind you. He has CM Punk right there with him at the end, last 2, and he has him going over on CM Punk. Of course, CM Punk got injured, but that's besides the point, right? CM Punk could have won that. CM Punk could have gone to WrestleMania. He could have challenged for the World Heavyweight title. That title could have meant something. But instead, again, Cody Rhodes goes over, right? 2 years back to back, winning the Royal Rumble, and he goes into another feud with Roman Reigns. And guess what's gonna happen here? Of course he's gonna win. Of course he's gonna win. What the hell's gonna happen, man? Like, think about it. It's just the most obvious 50-50 booking that I just cannot stand, bro. It's the same thing with Once in a Lifetime. John Cena versus The Rock. That only meant something because we thought it was going to be the only time they would wrestle, right? The Rock hasn't been there for years. John Cena is the new head of the table. Who's gonna win? The old guard or the new guard? Old school or new school, right? It was actually like so much momentum that went into that match. But instead, everything essentially fizzled out as soon as the match was over. The Rock got over. He got the title off of CM Punk. And then what's gonna happen? John Cena versus The Rock at the following year's WrestleMania. If that second rematch didn't happen at WrestleMania, this match, that match that John and Rock had at the first match, dude, that would have been one of the top 5 wrestling matches of all time. Everybody would have remembered it, but no, they had to taint it. And the reality is, if The Rock didn't insert himself back into the WWE in the first half of 2024, we wouldn't given a damn about Cody Rhodes' run. We wouldn't have cared one bit. So let me tell you this. As soon as The Rock comes back and he announces, I want to go after Roman Reigns, and then he has essentially the entire WWE convince Cody Rhodes to step aside, and this is going to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns. I mean, come on, bro. Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania 40, right? Like, come on, for the title. What a great match. This could have happened. This could have been one of, if not the biggest main event in the last 20 years. But instead, because of Triple H's lackluster booking and the way that he books is just stall, 50-50 booking, instead of that, you just got a whole big mess. We don't have Roman Reigns being able to move on because obviously where he's going to move on to? He's beaten everybody. We couldn't have Cody Rhodes move on. And then The Rock enters the picture. And guess what? We have a big mess. And I thought to myself, why can we just not have a triple threat, right? Like, that would have solved everything. A triple threat would have solved everything. But instead, we got something even better. We had the debut of the final boss, and The Rock uses genius to pivot, sidestep, and make the situation turn into something good. And thank God WrestleMania by that point was already 2 nights. Because if it wasn't 2 nights, trust me when I say this, something even worse was going to happen, alright? I don't know what it was, but they would have found a way to make that entire situation even worse. But because it was 2 nights, because The Rock uses genius and he went out of his way, he entered with the final boss, he turned heel, he joined the Bloodline, and they had a beautiful tag match at night 1 with Seth Rollins. It was all great. But as soon as that entire thing is over and done with, right? WrestleMania is over and done with. Cody goes over on Roman. WrestleMania 40, Raw after Mania. What happens? The Rock comes out, and what does he say? Our story has just begun. Why? Why did he say that? Because it wasn't about essentially, of course, it was about The Rock going in there and wrestling Roman Reigns, but it was mainly because Roman Reigns was a champion. So what is The Rock chasing? The WWE title. And by that point, he was already 52 years old. Time is ticking. I mean, look at the shape that he was in. I mean, he was like a damn mutant. And of course, in the last year, The Rock has had a lot of trouble with his heart. He has looked a little bit slimmer. He's seeing a lot more doctors. He's a little bit more health conscious. So he's probably never ever going to attain that shape that he had at WrestleMania 40. Never again. So that is forever a wasted opportunity. And let me tell you this, are we happy that we wasted an opportunity for a tag match? As much as I liked it, it was essentially nothing more than a smokescreen and a filler, because even that didn't mean anything. If we actually had gotten a payoff at Raw Netflix 1 at anything related post WrestleMania 40, I would have been happy. But no, where is The Rock now? He said his goodbye to Cody at Raw after Mania 40, and he said, I will see you down the road. Our story has just begun. And then he finally makes his appearance after Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes team up, going in there at Bad Blood against Solo Sikoa and the, Solo Bloodline. And after the match, The Rock makes his shocking return, and he essentially has a very cryptic message. We didn't know what it means, and honestly, we still don't know what it means. But I know for a fact that he essentially sent a message to both Roman and Cody, because think about it. Roman Reigns, he had The Rock enter the Bloodline. The Rock acknowledges Roman Reigns as his new tribal chief, and he leaves after WrestleMania 40. Him and his cousin battle against Roman Reigns. And the next thing he knows, he turns on his TV, and the guy that essentially stole his main event slot, Cody Rhodes, is buddy-buddy with his cousin, his own tribal chief. the man that he acknowledged, and the man that he fought next to at WrestleMania. So The Rock already feels betrayed by two things. Not only did he get robbed by the WrestleMania 40 main event, then he goes in there and his own cousin is teaming up with him. So of course he's going to come back and send both of them a message. But something changed. Something happened, and honestly, I don't know how much of this is to blame Roman Reigns. I don't know how much it is to blame Cody, Triple H, or Rock. But my main thing comes down to Triple H, because thank God by this point, WWE Unreal has released, and I was able to look at the Raw Netflix one episode. And I looked at it, bro, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, right? Of course, it was a big celebration, and it was essentially just a tribute show to celebrating everything. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson appeared. The final boss was not there. It was Dwayne Johnson. He immediately broke character. He goes in there and he's buddy-buddy with Cody Rhodes. And then he goes in there and he acknowledges his tribal chief, Roman Reigns. He puts the Olofala on him, right? And this is not to say that Cody and Rock were always very hostile to one another, because at the Raw after Mania 40, he was kind to him, right? He shook his hand. I will be gone for a little bit. And then he goes in there at the Raw Netflix one episode. He acknowledges him. He kisses him, yada, yada, yada. He does all the good stuff that you would do for a proper champion, like Cody Rhodes was. But then suddenly, it is time to sell tickets again. Elimination Chamber, Toronto. It was not moving fast enough, right? That stadium wasn't getting sold out. And so what happens? TKO hits up The Rock and they say, look, we have to move tickets. Can the final boss come back? And The Rock says, I will think about it. I'll see what I can do. And then The Rock cooks up this entire plot where Kevin Owens is essentially going to go in there and stand in the position that John Cena was standing, and they will turn on Cody Rhodes, because The Rock needs a corporate champion. He can't wrestle all the time anymore, right? It's just only fair. And instead of that, the day of comes Elimination Chamber. Triple H pulls The Rock aside and he says, look, John Cena, he's gonna do it. He's gonna turn heel. And The Rock says, wow, alright, I can fit it into my narrative. And by that point, of course, Kevin Owens was injured. So The Rock has John Cena turn heel. And then John Cena goes in there, WrestleMania 40, and that was the entire point where The Rock completely vanished, because he goes on an interview with Pat McAfee and says, the final boss's job is essentially done. I only really came back because Ari Emanuel called me up to sell Elimination Chamber. That's it. So what happened? Because TKO forced the hand of The Rock to come back too early, because Triple H had to find a way to fit The Rock into all of this, they essentially screwed themselves over once again. Just like they did after WrestleMania 39, where Cody and Roman didn't, continue their story. They had Cody and Brock go in there. Cody and Jey Uso have a tag match. They essentially wasted so much time, and we are currently once again in the same position. John Cena turns heel. What happens? All of his matches are filler against Randy, CM Punk, R-Truth. Everything, every match that he had ends in a dirty finish. It's weak. Essentially, the whole plot line that John Cena had as a heel just entirely sucked. No questions about it. It sucked, right? Every single match. Did we have good moments? Of course. But no promo and no segment and no way, shape, or form was the alliance to The Rock mentioned once. And why? Because it is a plot hole of Triple H. Another plot hole. He screws himself over. He screws the fans over. He screws everything over. And he also starts to book plot lines holes. And then, of course, Cody Rhodes, he wins the title at 40. He carries it into 41. He loses it and he regains it at SummerSlam. So he essentially has had a 16-month reign. Essentially all things, if you just were look, that whole Cena heel run, Cena title run, it was nothing more than him keeping a title warm for Cody Rhodes to take a little rest, a little vacation, and for him to come back and take the belt off him again. Alright? And now we are in this position that Roman Reigns was in. He doesn't have any real opposition, and the problem is, Cody Rhodes is such a natural babyface. He is so over with the crowd, they can't do anything crazy with him. And then you have another problem where the entire SmackDown and Raw roster, all of the heel workers, are booked as very weak opponents. Even the guys with a faction, they are very weak. I mean, look at Solo Sikoa. He looks very weak, right? And that is a spin-off off of the Bloodline. So once again, Triple H is rinsing and repeating. 50-50 booking. I'm getting to a point where I'm sick and tired of it. And why should The Rock come back? Please tell me why. Because Triple H, he has John Cena one day out of SummerSlam, go on SmackDown Live, and suddenly turn babyface. Everything that The Rock helped build up Triple H tore it right back down and he leaves another plot hole. Why? Why? What is there for him to return to if John Cena, the guy that he had turn heel, the biggest heel turn in history of the WWE, if he can go in there and forget about him, why should the fans care? And the reality is, that was a perfect opportunity for The Rock to come back, get himself back involved in major plot lines, start the road to WrestleMania 42, and get things cooking again. But no, instead what happens, Brock Lesnar returns out of nowhere, just like he did at WrestleMania Raw after Mania 39, and he F5s Cody Rhodes. Brock Lesnar once again comes back and he F5s John Cena. And just like that match with Cody and Brock was filler, John Cena and Brock is also filler, because guess what? At Clash at Paris, what happens? Logan Paul versus John Cena. The week after, right? The SmackDown after SummerSlam, what happens? Brock Lesnar isn't there and John Cena has a feud with Logan Paul. I mean, this is the point in time where WWE is actually cooked. Everything is cooked. Roman Reigns isn't there. Roman Reigns is inactive. Even Roman Reigns is pretty much finished with the WWE. And now we all look back and see how much of a big missed opportunity it all was. Because think about it. Was The Rock really gonna go in there and beat Roman Reigns for the title? Maybe. But was The Rock gonna hold that title indefinitely? Of course not. Like, there was going to be a point where if The Rock is going to beat Roman Reigns, it is only right for Roman Reigns to beat The Rock. And if we had gotten to that point where Roman finally beats The Rock again and gets his title back, would that have taken away from essentially Cody finishing the story? Because essentially, right, if you can have Cody and Roman have an entire year of filler leading into WrestleMania 40, what essentially was the problem with The Rock coming back and getting himself involved with everything, getting his own work in, and then dipping again? Because if you can have us wait for a year, you can have us wait for 2 years. Let's be real about it, okay? Because now look at us, right? Cody has been the champion for almost 2 years, and what has he done that was so amazing? Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, I mean, that's it. John Cena, that's it. Where is the feud with Roman Reigns? Where's the third match with Roman Reigns? Why is that not booked? Where is the feud with CM Punk? Where is the main event level feud that he could have with Seth Rollins? Where is the feud that we could have had with essentially Drew McIntyre before he lost to CM Punk? Right? Where is all of that? I mean, look at the entire situation here, right? The Rock, he acclaims Drew McIntyre as like his protege, whatever the hell. Like, you know, like that one clip where they were both backstage and essentially The Rock signs him as like a athlete to his brand, whatever the hell that brand is again, I forgot. But it's clear that The Rock acknowledges Drew McIntyre as like the guy, right? So maybe somewhere down the line, it could be a plot line where The Rock comes back and he inserts himself with Drew McIntyre and has like a new corporate champion. But like I said, we have missed the ball so many times. He wasn't there at 41. He wasn't there at SummerSlam. And now all of a sudden he's going to come back when? Right? In these minor league tour PLEs at Clash at Paris. Crown Jewel in Perth. No, he's not going to be there. And so the next big PLE moment that he could have is what? Bad Blood or Survivor Series or next year's Royal Rumble. That all leads into, once again, the next year's WrestleMania. So like I said, you guys, this is all a big missed opportunity, and it all stems from the fact that at WrestleMania 39, Roman Reigns could have lost, right? He didn't. That's not a bad issue. But they should have maintained the plot line. They should have had a payoff at SummerSlam at least. What is this infatuation with title changes at WrestleMania? Like, I really want to go back to the time where we can have maybe 2 title changes a year, 3 title changes a year. You know, I want to get to a point where the WWE title picture is so competitive to the point where a lot of main eventers could win it. But now we have gotten to a position where we have blocked all potential challengers, right? Because they don't power scale enough. Roman Reigns held the title for such a long time that he needed John Cena to run in, Undertaker to run in, this guy to run in, everybody to run in and help Cody beat him. And that takes a lot of, building up. And you cannot build up anybody to that level as to the level that Cody Rhodes was built. You know, it cannot happen that easily. Cody Rhodes, like I said, he is the only real babyface in the company, right? He is a guy that finally got over after so many years. So it's really hard to get him in that position to maybe have him turn, because that's not going to happen. People love him, right? And you really have to get to a point where we can get sick and tired of Cody Rhodes, and only then can you turn him heel. But I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen now, right? We're going to have Cody Rhodes retain a title for, I don't know, whatever happens up until WrestleMania 42. So from now on up until WrestleMania 42, so like 8 months after SummerSlam when he regained the title, he's going to go into WrestleMania again as a champion. And we're going to have, essentially an 8-month run where everything's filler. It's not important. And we're going to build to what exactly at WrestleMania? Like I said, the only thing that I can think of is him coming back at WrestleMania 42 and having Cody Rhodes turn heel. But I don't want that. I want Cody Rhodes, The Rock, finishing their feud because, dude, come on, bro. WrestleMania 42, that's 2 years after WrestleMania 40. 2 years after. What kind of a plotline can this be? And the problem is The Rock is not getting younger, man. He's gonna push, how old? 55? He's 53 now. Going into WrestleMania 42, he's gonna be 54. And come on, bro. That is what I'm trying to say here, right? What was so important in having Cody Rhodes stall for a year? What was so important in him having to win the title at WrestleMania? I get it, finish the story, bro. But come on, man. We could have finished that story at WrestleMania, the SummerSlam after WrestleMania 39. We could have had The Rock going in there and wrestle against Roman Reigns, and something else could have spawned from there. Like I said, the only good thing that came out of all of this was essentially The Rock turning into the final boss. But what have we gotten out of that after WrestleMania 40? Really, what have we gotten out of that? Because we only got a 2-month stretch, so February came back, March and April. So in that 2-month stretch of The Rock coming back in the first opening year of 2024, in those 2-3 months, that was only all that we got out of The Rock. And now we have him gone. It's been almost 2 years now. A year and a half, and he still hasn't come back, and he still hasn't done anything important. And this is the moment where I'm thinking to myself, this guy is never coming back. Never. It is done. The Rock is done. We got the final boss. We got him to beat Cody at WrestleMania Night 140, right? He got that in, and I think that is the only celebration that we can have, to be honest. That's all it is. Roman is a part-timer. Roman's already talking about leaving the company and doing something else. They're probably gonna have Roman Reigns going in and wrestle against Cody Rhodes, because think about it. Why would you want to have the entire thing between them two get tainted? If you have only 2 matches, okay, they can say, I won one and you won one. We're 50-50. It's good. As soon as there's a third match and you gotta have a second win for either of the two, that is where you taint the entire trilogy. Because think about it. Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier. Ali won twice, right? So what happens? Ali wins the trilogy. Ali's better. Kenny Norton versus Ali, they have 3 matches, right? If they only had 2 matches and they both won one, it's an endless debate forever. But instead, Ali went in there and he finished the job, got the 3rd victory as well. And that is exactly what happens with feuds. If you can go in there and win the trilogy, the best of 3, that essentially nullifies the opponents and you are forever better. And do you really think that Roman Reigns wants to be looked at as forever worse than Cody Rhodes because he lost the trilogy? I don't know. I really don't know, because remember, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, they had a promo package at the empty stadium. And in that empty stadium, Roman Reigns told Cody, you are in my way in life. That was when he was still a heel. He just lost the title. He was still in his Roman Reigns heel era. And think about it, bro. Do we really care about Roman Reigns as a babyface? Do we really want to have Roman Reigns be in opening tag matches at SummerSlam, yeeting after the match is over and done with, and then disappearing again, getting laid out on the Raw after SummerSlam by Big Back Bronson Reed and Bron? Really, do we want that? I don't know. And that's the issue that I have right now with the WWE. We are currently looking into one of the most darkest times that the WWE is going to have. Roman Reigns is not here. Cody Rhodes is the only guy that we have. Seth Rollins, he is good, but he's not the guy, right? If you're somebody that walks out with see-through leggings and latex pants and circus costumes, I'm sorry, bro, you are not the guy, okay? That's not gonna happen. CM Punk came back in 2023, and what has he done since? He just won the title in 2025 for just 5 minutes, and he loses the title again. So that is what I'm trying to say here. Everything that Triple H does is so slow to the point where if we have something that is red hot, the guy is just incapable of striking when the iron is hot. He literally is just incapable of doing that, right? And I get it. That payoff at WrestleMania 40 was so good that you would try to replicate it as much as you can. And that behavior has translated into other plot lines. And that is my issue here. Because of all of the 50-50 booking, because of all of these stupid plot lines that go nowhere and people just keep going back and, back and forth in circles, that is when you have something essentially fizzle out and dwindle away. Even something as big as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the final boss. Even something as big as Cody Rhodes. Even something as big as Roman Reigns will all feel like a small time thing because why? You didn't strike when the iron was hot. And that is why WrestleMania 41 sucked. I mean, essentially the matches were good, some of the matches were good, but all the plot lines sucked. I mean, even Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. I mean, that match essentially got created because they didn't want Rhea Ripley to remain a champion and essentially risk getting booed, right? Because she is a natural babyface. Everybody loves her, right? But if you're a babyface and you're always winning, the people will get tired of you. And that is exactly what Triple H said. We don't want that, so that's why we're gonna have the title get off of you. And Triple H loves when the babyface is continuously chasing. And the chase never ends for him. Right? When you get to a point where the babyface is finally over, all of a sudden, guess what? Even somebody like Rhea, even somebody like, Cody, what happens? I mean, all of a sudden, The Rock comes back, Johnson turns heel, he gets screwed, yada, yada, yada. But ultimately, they get the title back. But they only did that so you don't have a moment where, okay, I'm getting tired now. That is the point where a lot of fans are going to get sick and tired. And we already saw that between the match with Cody and Cena at night 2. A lot of people were booing Cody. And what do you think is going to happen now and up until WrestleMania 42? What's going to happen? Cody's going to keep that title. Roman has a feud with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. He's not going to go back to SmackDown, okay? So what do we have at SmackDown? Drew McIntyre, the guy that got buried, right? The guy that lost to CM Punk, the guy that lost to Damian Priest, the guy that had his SummerSlam moment ruined by Jelly Bean. He had to share the spotlight with Jelly Bean. I mean, that's my issue here, right? And it didn't matter if he then went on and challenged against Cody Rhodes at Clash in Paris. It doesn't matter because this is the problem that plagues the WWE. All that we do is rinse and repeat. 50-50 booking. We are getting tired of doing the same thing over and over again. And that essentially leads into the problem where we cannot build any new young stars. Where is the new talent? Where is the new breed? Where is somebody like the final boss can come back for and say, look, young buck, I'm gonna put the rocket on your back. I'm gonna have you go in there and beat Cody Rhodes, and I'm gonna make you become the new WWE champion. Kind of like the way Brock Lesnar got treated in 2003. Remember that? So that is the point where this company is not headed. We do not have anything remote to that era. 20 years ago, the WWE was on fire, right? 20 years later, look at where we are standing. We are still relying on the guys that were there. We are still relying on Brock Lesnar. We are still relying on CM Punk. We are still relying on The Rock. We are still relying on John Cena, Randy Orton. We are still relying on the guys that were there 20 years ago. And isn't that sad? Isn't that telling you something that we are literally headed in the wrong direction? And WrestleMania 42, for all intents and purposes, will not be that good. And trust me when I say this, I want it to be good. I would love nothing more than it to be good. But I am not gonna lie to you guys. I am actually scared for the future. I've said it in another video as well. If this is the way that, WWE is gonna keep heading into, then I'm not sure if the heels advocate will be around for much longer. Okay? Because either two things are gonna happen. I'm gonna double down and dedicate this channel into, showing how much better the WWE could be, hitting on the product, looking back and doing retrospectives, or I can say, look, all of this WWE BS, all of these shows, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, all of these PLEs are all heading to nowhere, and I'm out of it. I'm not gonna watch no more. I can say that as well. So it's just gonna come to that point, right? We're not at the crossroads just yet. There's still hope. We can still hope for the Roman Cody rematch. We can still hope for Cody versus The Rock. We can still hope for Roman versus Rock. We can have all those hopes. You have to give respect to The Rock. He is in tremendous shape. He never really fell off the wagon. But also, the guy is 43 years old. So now we have to wait and see what the future holds. I am looking forward to the future. But the future talent doesn't look that good. Everybody is on green juices. Nobody's drinking roids anymore. make WWE roid again, alright? I'm the Heels Advocate. Smash the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new with the bell notification, become a Heels Advocate and join this channel, become a member, and I will see you guys next time.